Much like what's happened in our food system, our information diet has become toxic. The news and social media we consume is filled with half-truths, anger-generating sound bites, and mind-numbing nonsense that either spaces us out or riles us up, and it's all designed to lure us back for more. It's time to take back control, and this podcast is a 5-minute step in the right direction. 3 days a week, I'll share a short story to help renew your belief in the people and the world around you. Monday, a story from the past. Wednesday, the present. And Friday, you'll head into the weekend with a story to keep you optimistic about our future. Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to My Good 3. All right, happy Monday, everybody. We live in a world now where self-promotion is acceptable. In fact, you see it everywhere you look. Humble bragging has turned into a bit of an art form. I mean, the word gymnastics people can execute in order to discreetly share their achievements with anyone who will listen is impressive in a way. But if you're someone who's quiet about your achievements or the good things you do for other people, it may start to feel like you're in some way losing ground. Of course, you're not. You're experiencing a type of cognitive bias referred to as visibility bias. Since you only see the people who are self-promoting and not the many other people quietly going through their lives doing good things for other people, you feel as though you're different. One thing we can all appreciate, though, is when we find out something impressive about someone without them telling us. In a way, it makes us gain that much more respect for them. This is a story about someone who saved hundreds of people's lives when he was young, but didn't feel the need to tell a soul. Not even his wife. In 1907, Rudolf and Barbara Wertheim, a young Jewish couple living in Germany, decided to move to London to raise a family. In Germany, they had dealt with harassment for years due to their religious beliefs, so when they moved, in order to give their future children a fresh start, they changed their name to Winton and converted to Christianity. The middle of their 3 children was Nicholas. Educated at the renowned Stowe School, he launched his career in the banking industry. Banking took him from London back to Germany, to France, and eventually back to London to become a broker on the London Stock Exchange. As anti-Semitism grew in Europe in the 1930s, Nicholas got involved with groups opposed to appeasement, fearing the momentum the Nazi Party was gaining in Germany. In 1938, just before Christmas, the unmarried Nicholas was headed to Switzerland for a ski vacation when he was alerted to a situation in Prague, Czechoslovakia, which changed his plans. At the time, Germany had just begun bringing troops into Czechoslovakia, and Jewish residents feared the worst. So many families scrambled to find a place for their children to find safety. London's House of Commons quickly approved a measure to allow any Jewish child from Czechoslovakia under the age of 17 into Britain as a refugee. As German forces quickly moved into Prague, Nicholas Winton, Trevor Chadwick, Doreen Werner, and Beatrice Wellington led a quiet operation to help these young Jewish Czechs cross over to England. The worst of all their fears came true. Nazis rounded up Jewish citizens and sent them to concentration camps in Poland and Germany. But not before Nicholas Winton and the others, with the help of Winton's mother finding homes for the kids, managed to bring a total of 669 children to safety in Britain. Roughly 50 years later, in 1988, Winton's wife of 40 years was cleaning out their attic when she stumbled upon a scrapbook. It contained a long list of names, addresses, and in some cases, associated headshots. She took it to Nicholas, wondering what the scrapbook was, and he explained the entire thing. She learned that 50 years earlier, before they even met, he had helped children evade the Nazis prior to World War II beginning. In the book was the documentation of the Jewish refugees, their parents, and addresses to which the children were sent. Eventually, in an effort to document and preserve the historical information, Winton's wife convinced him to hand the scrapbook over to Elizabeth Maxwell, a well-known Holocaust researcher. Later that year, at 79 years old, Nicholas Winton was invited to be an audience member in a series of TV shows about the Holocaust on the popular BBC television show That's Life. Nicholas accepted the invitation and sat quietly in the audience as the host, Esther Ranson, shared parts of the story and showcased pages from the scrapbook. Then she turned her attention to Nicholas and introduced him to the audience, at which point he was greeted with a long ovation. She followed this with a story of one of the refugees, Vera Gissen. The cameras suddenly turned to the audience, and she was revealed. She was sitting directly to the left of the man who orchestrated her survival. It caught him by surprise, and he very humbly wiped the tears from his eyes and was greeted with a warm hug from Vera as the audience cheered. On the second show, it happened again. The host introduced another refugee they had tracked down from the information in the scrapbook. Once again, there was a warm embrace between Nicholas and the second person, who thanked him for all he had done, and again, Nicholas was overcome with emotion to the cheers of the crowd. Finally, at the end of the show, the host asked the audience to stand if they had been Czechoslovakian refugees that Nicholas Winton had saved, or they were the children of those refugees. There were several people around him that stood up, and as the seconds passed, you could hear a commotion on the set. The clearly humbled and slightly shaken Winton eventually stood up to see what was happening around him. He turned around and observed the entire studio audience standing before him. In 2025, the loud voices of social media can make it seem like we're in a battle with one another for attention. It's easy to worry that we're the only ones not getting somewhere fast enough. Nicholas Winton's story and the quiet life he lived is a great reminder that nobody needs to know for us to have a lasting impact. Thank you for listening. I realize this podcast won't be successful without your help. So if you'd like to rate it, or better yet, review it, wherever you get your podcasts, that would really help. And if you're on Instagram, go to @mygood3, THREE, to vote each episode up or down. I'm also excited to read more Good 3 stories from listeners. So just go to our website, mygood3.com, and submit a story of your own from the past, present, or future, or all three, and maybe I'll use it in an episode. Thanks again. Here's to hoping My Good 3 can set the stage for your good week.